The grocery store was buzzing with the small-town rhythm of carts rolling over linoleum floors and chatter from tired parents juggling coupons, when Tyler Brandt found himself standing frozen at the checkout counter, staring at the word "declined" flashing red on the screen like a siren. He had swiped the card twice, then a third time, and each rejection brought a ripple of murmurs from the growing line behind him. An older man muttered something about a guy wearing shoes worth more than his rent but unable to buy cereal. A teenager laughed, whispering to his friend that Tyler looked like a Wall Street vampire whose crypto wallet had no Wi-Fi today. The laughter wasn't vicious, but it was sharp enough to sting. Tyler had spent years at the top, boardrooms, interviews, headlines that once praised him as a tech visionary. But now here he was, a stranger in a small town, reduced to a punchline over groceries. Just when he thought the humiliation couldn't cut deeper, a small voice rose above the crowd. "You can take my money, mister." Tyler turned, and there she was, a little girl no taller than his hip, with braided hair, scuffed shoes, and a fierce steadiness in her eyes. She held out a bag of coins and crumpled bills like it was treasure. Her name was Anna, and in that moment her simple kindness silenced an entire store. Tyler crouched down, his pride cracking as he whispered, "That's yours, you should keep it." But Anna shook her head, repeating words her mother had taught her. "If someone's standing alone, you stand next to them. That's what good people do." Her mother, Myra, a nurse in faded scrubs, soon appeared, apologizing for her daughter's boldness, but Tyler only smiled and told her Anna had saved him from a storm of shame. Something about that moment anchored him in place. Instead of fleeing with his embarrassment, he offered to thank them properly with a meal. That invitation led him to their modest apartment later that evening. A warm but humble home filled with mismatched cushions, a hand-drawn calendar, and the unmistakable air of resilience. Over flat root beer and homework questions, Tyler saw reflections of his own childhood, of tight spaces and stronger mothers. He revealed pieces of himself, too, that he had once been a name people chased in headlines, a man who built and sold tech empires but who had walked away when the noise drowned out who he truly was. For Mara, who had buried her husband years ago in a tragic accident, Tyler's honesty didn't come across as arrogance. It was simply human. And for Anna, his presence became an opportunity to ask curious questions about spelling words, big dreams, and whether money hiccups happen to everyone. In that small living room, Tyler felt something he hadn't in years. He felt seen not as a billionaire or a ghost from the business world, but as a man finding his way back to himself. But the world rarely lets old ghosts rest. By sunrise the next morning, a shaky cell phone video of Tyler's declined card had gone viral under mocking captions like, "When your billions don't work at checkout," and "Billionaire Blues." Edited versions looped circus music over his humiliation or rained Monopoly money down as Anna handed him her small offering. Tyler had once been famous in glossy magazines, but this was different. This was ridicule stripped bare. Sitting alone in a diner with cold eggs and bitter coffee, he felt the weight of millions laughing until a familiar voice called his name. Anna bounced across the street in her powder-blue backpack, her mother trailing behind. She handed him the sunglasses he had left behind and grinned. "You're famous now." Tyler chuckled, but inside the sting remained. Fame, he explained to her gently, often meant more people laughed when you fell. Yet Anna only wrinkled her nose and told him it wasn't tragic. It was just real. That perspective, so unfiltered, began to shape the way Tyler carried the laughter aimed at him. Instead of running, he stayed. Instead of hiding, he started showing up first at the hardware store to buy tools, then at the neglected playground behind the community center. With dirt under his nails and sweat on his brow, Tyler began fixing what had been broken: swing sets, seesaws, monkey bars. Not because the internet demanded it, but because a little girl had once given him $10 and reminded him what being human looked like. Days turned into weeks, and the quiet rhythm of Dawsonville began to shift. People who had once mocked Tyler now found him repairing fences, painting playgrounds, and sitting at spaghetti dinners with Mara and Anna, where laughter flowed as freely as root beer. But not everyone was willing to let him start fresh. Abigail Tran, a sharp-eyed journalist, arrived with questions about why the billionaire who vanished had suddenly reappeared in Georgia. At first, Tyler resisted. He didn't want another redemption narrative written by someone who didn't know him, but Abigail saw past the headlines. She told him the grocery store moment had struck a nerve because it mirrored the struggles of millions. People broke, embarrassed, pretending to be fine. Slowly, Tyler allowed her in, not as a spin doctor, but as a witness. Then came Jackson Greer, a former associate, who appeared in a polished suit to lure him back into the world he had left. "You're wasting yourself fixing swings," Jackson sneered. "You could use this moment as a rebrand, a comeback." But Tyler refused. He wasn't a product anymore. He wasn't a brand to be salvaged. What Dawsonville needed wasn't another tech king. It needed someone who listened when the roof leaked, someone who showed up with a shovel instead of a press release. And so, when the community painted a mural that read, "Be the Helper," with a small purple stone beneath it, Tyler understood it wasn't about his name. It was about remembering the lesson Anna had already written on his heart. But no story of renewal is without resistance. Rumors began to spread online, twisting his acts of kindness into accusations of manipulation. A blog claimed his playground efforts were just PR cover. Then one morning the mural was found vandalized, spray-painted with a crude dollar sign and the words "Fake Savior." The sting was sharp, but what came next was sharper. A grainy video surfaced, edited to make it look like Tyler himself had been the one caught with the spray can. Within hours, the footage spread. Neighbors whispered, even friends hesitated. Tyler could have left, vanished again into anonymity, but he didn't. Standing before the crowd, he told them plainly, the video was a lie crafted by those who didn't want him rebuilding a life outside their control. Mara and Abigail backed him, defending his integrity, and then it was Anna who sealed the moment with her fierce conviction. "He's a helper," she said, her voice ringing out against the murmurs. In that instant, the town chose to believe not the edited lies but the living truth before their eyes. Together, they restored the mural, not just with fresh paint but with handprints, stars, and words declaring, "Truth always outlives the noise." For Tyler, the weight of that message sank deeper than any headline ever could. From there, Dawsonville transformed. The playground grew into a hub of laughter. The defaced mural became a beacon of resilience, and when the old library wing was reopened with the town's help, it was christened the Helper's Corner. Tyler stood before the crowd, humbled, and told them he hadn't come looking for monuments. He had come because a little girl handed him $10 at a grocery store and fed a part of his soul he hadn't known was starving. His words weren't polished speeches, they were lived truth, and people listened. Children ran through the library's fresh nooks, teenagers painted new murals, elders donated their time, and Mara, steady as ever, reminded him that what Dawsonville valued wasn't the size of a bank account, but the strength of a helping hand. Abigail, once skeptical, now chronicled not a billionaire's comeback, but a community's rebirth. And for Tyler, every smile, every repaired bench, every shared meal with Anna and Mara chipped away at the concrete walls he had built around himself. In their laughter, he discovered that wealth wasn't measured in empires, but in moments where kindness rewove broken trust. Still, shadows lingered. Jackson reappeared with promises of clearing Tyler's name and rebuilding his empire, but Tyler burned the business card and chose a different kind of fire, one fueled by purpose rather than ambition. He knew more attacks would come, more whispers, more doctored videos. The storm wasn't over, but he no longer measured his worth in whether the world applauded him. He measured it in whether Anna still ran to him with drawings in her hands, whether Mara still trusted him enough to sit with him under the stars, whether the town still showed up to repaint what was broken. Because truth doesn't need a megaphone, it only needs time. And Dawsonville had given him that. The man who once vanished had found himself not in headlines, but in small acts of repair, in meals shared, in trust restored. When the library dedicated the Helper's Corner, and Anna proudly declared that she had helped build it, Tyler realized she was right. She hadn't just helped him fix a playground or a wall. She had helped him fix himself. And so, as the cicadas sang into the warm Georgia night and the mural glowed softly under the moonlight, Tyler Brandt understood something profound. Home wasn't built of empires or fortunes. Home was built of mismatched chairs at a dinner table, a purple stone in his pocket, and a little girl who reminded him that standing next to someone mattered more than standing above them. The road ahead was uncertain. There would be more storms, more noise, more shadows from the past trying to claw him back. But for the first time in years, Tyler wasn't running. He was staying. Because Dawsonville wasn't just a town that had forgiven him, it was a town that had chosen to believe in him. And for that, he would keep showing up. If this story moved you, if you believe kindness still has the power to change lives, then let your voice be heard. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe so you never miss another story that reminds us of what truly matters. Because just like Anna's purple stone, stories like this are meant to be carried forward, small, imperfect, but powerful enough to remind us all to be the helper.